All right, here are 5 things that we're going to be going over in this video. What is the transparency changes that are going to be happening between the client and the realtor relationship, the commission-based negotiation happening in here as far as what it means for a buyer and a seller, since you no longer can advertise as a seller if you're going to be offering what is called a buyer's agent commission. Number 3, the choice of representation, knowing that you no longer as a buyer can go and see a home with an agent without a buyer agreement. What that would look like, what are some options that realtors are looking at, and what does it mean for you if you don't want to be represented. Number 4, the potential cost of savings on your end and the ability to showcase the value on the realtor's end on really showcasing where their value is in paying them a commission. And number 5, going into the details of what a buyer's agent agreement is and what it means for you. Number 1, increase transparency between the relationship of the client and the realtor. This is huge when it comes to commissions, when it comes to agreements, when it comes to creating a value that an agent can bring to a buyer. Now with a listing and a seller, I sit down, I talk to you, I negotiate, I show you the value of how I'm gonna market your house, what I'm gonna do to showcase your house, what timeline I can sell it on. But when it comes to a buyer, you don't really see the value because a lot of it happens on the back end. There's a lot of realtors I'm hoping it will weed out who aren't confident in their abilities to be transparent with their clients on where their value is. Because now the negotiation of the commission is all up in the air with the buyer's agent. Does that worry me at all? Not at all. In fact, I'm extremely excited to have more of an opportunity on the front end to explain to a buyer where I'm helping you out. For instance, when I had a client who had a very interesting situation when it came to their down payment, depends on if they had 3%, 5%, every loan is going to have a different situation on what that down payment is going to look like for you. Knowing that, it's going to depend on the home and the purchase price of the home that was going to create the type of loan that they were going to need. And as their realtor, I needed to know those numbers. I needed to know the story to explain to my clients that this is what the mortgage would look like if you got this home and in this price range. Now then I'd go and communicate that with the lender to make sure we're all on the same page. There's a lot of value that I create as a buyer's agent. Also to be able to narrow down your search and understanding what specifics you want in a home. Now I could preach all day what my values are, but if you are interested in hiring me as a buyer agent, then let's talk. Let's sit down. Let's look at your situation. Let's see what your goals are and how I can fight for your goals. Because it shouldn't be what my commission is based on if you can go see that house or not. And a lot of realtors do that. Not trying to ding on those realtors, but I don't actually want to focus on what my commission is. Now, I want you to see the value of my commission. So I'm going to be transparent. Number 1 change is the increase in transparency that needs to happen between the client and the realtor. This was a big issue in the lawsuit, is that there was so much gray area and assuming what people wanted and thought when it came to the client and the agent relationship. For example, I can't assume that I'm going to show you a house only based on the fact if I'm going to get paid or not and not communicate that with you. So it is my job to communicate the commissions and what's going to happen and creating my own value for you before we even look at homes. Because the transparency is, are you going to sign an agreement with me so I can show you homes? And what is the commission going to look like if you choose to move forward under contract on a home? Being able to explain that process more to buyers is something I'm actually really excited about because it gives me the opportunity to showcase to my clients what I'm doing for them on the back end and where that value is for my commission and why they should sign what is called a limited agency agreement rather than just saying I'm showing them one home at a time. There's a lot of different fun strategies that are coming out from realtors. Some I agree with, some I don't agree with, because to say that you have to have an agreement to show a home is a pretty big deal. But I'm hoping that it weeds out those realtors who aren't confident in their own abilities to explain to you what their values are. Number 2, negotiating the commissions. So going down and submitting an offer. Now I have no idea what I'm getting paid for when I'm showing you a home, which helps narrow down if you are hiring a realtor who's not going to steer or show you a home that gets them paid less commission versus another home. Unfortunately, there are realtors out there like that. I am not one of them, but to be able to say, what kind of offer are we going to present to these sellers, giving the sellers the opportunity to say what they're going to give a commission to me, maybe based off the situation. Now, as a buyer, I get to also present to you before we even show homes if I feel like there's cash flow for my commission. You see the transparency happening here, more flow of options and what a buyer can do, what a seller is able to do, gives more of a flow of the sales process. which I love, which I know I'm good at. So honestly, I'm so excited for this new change happening on August 17th. Which brings me to number 3, choice of representation. There's a lot of realtors being creative on the types of documents because the law is now set that you cannot show a home with a licensed realtor unless you have an agreement in place. Now that type of agreement is up to the 2 parties, whether it is a full-on exclusive limited agreement only for 2 weeks, 30 days, 60 days, 6 months, however long you want to retain a realtor to fight for your home and your situation and what they're looking for. The second option is maybe you want them to only show you one particular home. So that agreement can be based off only showing that one particular home. You have options and transparency to know what that agreement is going to look like, whether understanding the commission, whether it's understanding the cash flow so you can pay a commission, whether it's understanding what kind of parameters you want an agent to represent you for. I'm hoping that this change is going to help open houses. Open houses have kind of gone down, and I'm hoping it shows the value of an open house, that you can just walk into a home without a representative agent and see the home, but after that, you're not able to. Number 4, which I've kind of touched on because all of this is a snowball effect and coming together, right? But it's the potential cost and savings. So let's say originally, before this law was in place, the sellers were offering a 3% commission on the listing, but you're coming in as a buyer with cash and you're coming in strong because you want this home. So now as a realtor, I can showcase to the seller why I deserve that 3% or maybe even more than 3% because we can close the deal in 10 days. It's all going to depend on how you feel about the relationship that's happening with the agent that's representing you on the buying end. If I've showed you 30 homes and I've written 3 offers, don't you feel like it would be in the best interest for me to fight for a negotiation with my commission? Or let's say you found the home, you just wanted me to open the door, we sign an agreement just based on that one particular home that you want me to show you, and I don't get a larger commission because I didn't put a lot of work in. Now, if I follow you down through the escrow phase, I'm going to create and show you that value of communicating with the lender, with the title agency, with navigating through the inspections, walking through the appraisal, aligning up with the closings and the fundings and making sure everything's in place with the lender and keeping everybody on par. I can create that value with you depending on where you're at in your journey as a buyer, which gives it more transparency and more potential to save money or more potential for me to make money. It just works all around. And the last one, which we've already covered, but I still want to bring it up, is the buyer agent agreement. Now remember, the 2 biggest changes that happened from the NAR lawsuit settlement was that an agent no longer can advertise the commission to a buyer's agent if they're representing the seller. They can advertise it throughout other websites, just not on the multiple listing website. Number 2 is that if you want to go and show a home, you need to have a buyer's agent present. And so in order to have a buyer's agent present to get into that home for the safety and concern of the home, sellers do not want anybody just showing their homes. They don't want items stolen. There's things you have to be reprimandable. So when we open what's called the super box, you have to have an agent to be able to do that. I pay my fees for things like that. So you have to have a buyer agent agreement. But we've talked about how you can be very many different types of that agreement, whether it's only one that particular listing, whether it's only for 10 days, whether it's a 30-day thing, whether it's a 6 months, whether you want the whole thing. You get to choose between the conversation between you and the buyer's agent. So as happening here in August 17th, all of this is going to be rolling out, and I could not be more excited because I'm excited to showcase to people the value that I bring, the plenty of stories of being able to help people bring value to actually saving them money in the process, whether they're selling or buying, and showcasing to you what my services are and that I'm definitely worth the value that I've created and the systems and how I can help you actually move forward. Because remember, this is the largest purchase that you're ever going to make. I sure hope that you find an agent that fits your needs and helps you guide you through that process so you can trust them. And my job is to make sure that you know me, you like me, and you trust me. So if you are interested in meeting with me, make sure you click the link below. I have a Calendly link. You can click it, schedule it with me, and I'm able to meet with you based on your time and your needs. Until then, I'll see you guys in my next video.